So here we go, another episode 196, and I'm super excited about this because simply we have four more, and then we're hitting the 200 mark. So this is very important. Sorry, live directly from the event itself. Today was an amazing event. Actually, I attended three events. Welcome to Dubai World. We have the Dubai Future Innovation Summit, which I was a speaker in, and I think it is one of the events to attend for next year if you're in town. The second one is the AI General Assembly with Dubai Future Foundation, which I'll be speaking tomorrow, and also the Travel Technology Forum, which is amazing things when you see how the world is going. So let's jump to our guest quickly, and then today uh, we follow directly. JB, welcome to Dxtalks. Introduce us about yourself.
Hi, how's it going? It's great to be here, even remotely in incredibly wet, boring, and COVID-ridden England. Yes, it's just nothing but rain over here. Hence my tan being even more unexplainable. Who am I? I'm John Brunel Webb Benjamin. I am the CEO and founder of Cryotech, which created the world's first post-quantum encrypted video chat messenger. Why is that important? Well, because if you look at the world around us, it's dominated by messaging platforms owned by pretty much just the same two people, and it uses all the same level of encryption, and their entire business model is focused on making money from exploiting your data. Vox Messenger has zero tracking, zero logging, and is focused on ensuring that you have safe and secure communications. That's why we ended up going through FCA registration and regulation, which is what we're going through at the moment, and started creating Vox Crypto, which is actually the first regulated actual crypto wallet coming to market, I believe.
So crypto or encryption over crypto?
Yeah, so basically we're talking about encryption in Vox Messenger and cryptocurrency in Vox Crypto. Vox Crypto, of course, being backed by our years of experience and understanding of how people break apps and break wallets and actually use behavioral analytics to find easier ways to gain access to your assets. This is the reason why Vox Crypto has native on-ramping inside of the app, which is facilitated by a Transact, and also has an insane level of security, which is not just provided by our own really cool smart contract, but also by virtue of our partnership with Wallet Guard, which allows you to simulate any transaction before the transaction takes place. This is huge. This basically means that you can actually check if a wallet or a website is a wallet burner, wallet leecher, or some kind of other nefarious device that's going to rip you away from your assets before you actually sign or connect to it. This basically means you have a higher chance of not being scammed. And we've built that all into the Vox Crypto application, which is due for launch in the beginning of November. We would have launched it earlier because the smart contracts are already available and they're already there, ready for everybody to see on Etherscan, available for public audit and review. But we actually decided to redo the contract because we actually found a couple of errors with it, which were, even though classified as really low level, because of our understanding of cybersecurity, we understand that you can cluster low level or very small radius events together to create a bigger form of attack, which can compromise your wallet or technology. Yeah.
Very interesting. A lot of info. I don't know, Atay, I see you in the back end. Do you have any question for him? Because I think that's something you pastly worked on, but not in the same aspects, of course. I don't know. You want to jump on board? Just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on the camera. All right, sure. That's cool. So no, it's interesting because I remember Tay working also on a wallet. That's why I thought he had something to add on. It's really interesting. Where do they go? Is it a website? Is it offline, online application? You said you're also getting regulated. Where are you getting regulated? And what's the value? Why should we? What part are you regulating?
Okay, so we are actually, Cryotech has applied for FCA registration. FCA registration is the Financial Conduct Authority. That is basically the authority, it's kind of like the EU, the UK and EU's equivalency of the SEC in the United States. They regulate. They make sure that if you are registered with them, you're ensuring that there are legal audits, checks and balances in places, and that your company is not being run by people who are solely running the company for the purpose of money laundering or other criminal activity. Is it getting regulated basically means that we can't rug you. We can't rug you without going to jail, literally. I mean, bear in mind, this is the United Kingdom. One of the few things you actually go to jail for is actual monetary fraud. Nothing like really serious, no, not like real crime against humanity, but monetary fraud you'll go to jail for. So you can actually rest assured that we're going to make sure we're not going to rug. We're not going to be scamming our customers. We're not going to be withdrawing funds. Everything we do at Crytek is focused on transparency and accountability. This is the reason why, if you look at our Linktree page, you'll find that all of our end-of-year tax returns and financial records are publicly available as soon as we've done them, because we want people to actually see what we're doing. We have no interest in becoming some kind of nefarious mega corporation that it just exploits your data and gives you nothing back, or just nefarious for the general point of it. FCA registration basically means you can actually be a little more confident that we are going to actually behave and provide the service for which we are promising, because we are actually not only is it because Crytek would anyway, because we're generally kind of ethically cool guys and gals, but also because we are legally required to. That is unique in the space at this time. Bear in mind, if we look at everybody around us, some of the biggest platforms out there like FTX, Terra Luna, even Coinbase up to a few days ago were not even financially regulated or registered. Now, luckily enough for the industry, that is changing, because I think we all know somebody who's lost lots of money in the crypto space. Sometimes, quite often, it's not through no fault of their own. Bear in mind, people are being manipulated like it's going out of fashion using behavioral psychology at an incredible rate in the crypto space. You know, we're all told that we shouldn't. We shouldn't be talking. We shouldn't discuss when a project is bad, or we shouldn't discuss when something's being rugged. We should be all very polite about it. No, I disagree. And that's the reason why we created Vox Crypto. I mean, the other unique feature of Vox Crypto is that you can also do bulk sending of crypto to people within a group for a single gas transaction fee, which basically means, as opposed to, say, sending $50 of crypto to 50 different people and then paying 50 times the gas fee and seeing that gas fee incrementally go up through every transaction, so you get to the point where you've ended up paying more in gas fees than you have in actually sending to friends and family, our smart contract allows you to send bulk transfers to a near infinite number of people in a single group transaction for a single gas transactional fee, which is also lower than the sum total of all of those gas fees, especially as that gas fee is at that point fixed in time, as opposed to being incrementally increasing over a period of time.
Interesting. Thank you, JB. Thank you for telling us what's the latest things. I don't know if you can share a website for people to join, and then we'll put it in the links and then description later on. And then,
of course, everybody should go out and check out vox-crypto.app. You can also search for us just by typing in Vox Crypto into the Google search bar, and you can also find us on Twitter. You can also find us just as easily by typing in Cryotech into the Google search bar, or JB Benjamin. Yes, my name. So unique, nobody else has it, so you ain't confusing this with anybody else. It's the only one on Google.
Both of us are in the same criteria. I think Tay also has a unique name and a family name. Anyway, thank you. Have a good one. We'll see you soon. All the best, man.
Thank you very much. It was great to be here. Take it easy.
Bye-bye. That's it. New innovation every day happening. I think this is a cooler of a cool gadget, would say. But if you want to protect your wallet, if you want to protect your investment, I think this is one of the things that you have to jump on. It's interesting. 1 minute and we'll be back. So here we are. I just shared the link tree and the website, and let's continue. Let me join Tay. Tay, welcome to the platform. How are things your side?
تحياتي لك رودي. Good afternoon, everyone watching from around the world. It is week 40 and week 41. Week 41 has been surprising on many ends, whether it's the war in the Middle East or the Sam Bankman-Fried court case, with today one of the key witnesses taking the stage or taking the stand to point fingers on basically what went wrong with FTX. Um, it is a, I mean, we can we cannot not to talk about the elephant in the room, the war in the Middle East, and and everything around it. So we're gonna talk about that as well today. Most importantly, we have a normal schedule. We always start with the Glassnode. Most important points that we picked for this week was mainly for week 41: low liquidities on exchanges, low liquidities on DeFi models. Um, we are continuing to see a illiquid market. Um, Glassnode was formulating a new formula or a new structure to study when can we enter in an alt season. There is a lot of dormant coins in the market, mainly the, as we said, the off-chain activity, the exchange activity also is remaining significantly quiet if we are looking at the perspectives of volume, profit and loss, and there's no really interaction among exchanges. Week 40, week 41 carry the similar sentiment. There's still some neutrality to fear switching sides. Analysts are looking at a $26,000 support level, 26,800 between those ranges. Still, everything is on the table. The momentum now can take a total different shift as we are going and entering towards end of the year, particularly from the compliance and the regulatory reason. What happened in Palestine is taking the Middle East to a forefront of using cryptocurrencies, and this time similar to how it was used in Ukraine in the times of war. But the main question is, how did this happen? Not a lot of news outlets were able to talk about it, and this is how we're gonna open our news for this week. For week 41, we're opening with how did this money went to Gaza in order. So, according to Times Now, it's a news outlet from India. There was a special investigation that was done by the Indian Special Cells Intelligence Fusion and Strategic Ops, or under the name of IFSO. The IFSO unit, they ran a match on certain wallets that had stolen cryptocurrencies originating from Delhi, and those cryptocurrencies belong to basically Indian businessmen and Indian project owners who were hacked or who were uh, uh, basically seized illegally from those people. And the amount we're talking about is in INRs, in Indian rupees, around 40 million. In dollar value, it is more approximately between 550 to $600,000. And it seemed that during the investigations that for a period of time between 2022 till 2023 and including 2021 as well, that there were many incidents where hacks have been traced down to certain individuals that were operating from Gaza, and even those individuals were named in this report. How did the Israeli intelligence come to this information? It came through a data exchange between India and Israel at a point in time. It is now being uncovered, and there is, according as well to Wall Street Journal, between the periods of 2022 to 2023, more or less around $50 million per year that has been funneled into Gaza. This is a very important and I don't want to say it's historic, but it leaves a milestone in the crypto life or the crypto afterlife from this moment on, because the use of cryptocurrencies with the Ukraine war went somehow unnoticed, but and was supported by the Western politics and the Western regulatory space of cryptocurrencies, whether we're talking about Netherlands, Ukraine itself, United States, Britain, France, and all major countries that contributed, and they were advertised on Twitter to support and fund those wallets. The same tactic today that was used in funding the war in Gaza is taking a total different perspective, combined with who is taking stand today in court in one of America's largest corporate mishaps and largest corporate fraud structures, FTX. The timing of those two events, perhaps it is the luck or the charm for the regulator today to prove a point that cryptocurrencies are not a force of good nature. They have to be rooted out from the financial system. This is why we enter now in the second piece of news, and we're going to wrap up on this. At the same time we were witnessing the Gaza war, there was another type of war being opened in the United States, and this is between the co-founders of FTX, where they meet for the first time in court to take on the stand and witness against each other and pointing fingers on who to blame. It seemed that everyone is having a consensus on blaming Sam Bankman-Fried for all the mishaps that happened in FTX, and I'm using the word mishap very lightly here because there was fraud, there was a crime committed. We were hearing live on Twitter the judge and the defendant's response during the court from a Twitter account called Inner Press City, and the number of the numbers themselves, 20 million, 30 million, 200 million, they were spoken of as if it's a credit card transaction or an ice cream transaction. That, yeah, we misplaced $20 million, we gave a loan of $200 million. The sheer amount of money that was splashed everywhere puts a huge question mark on the regulator itself as well. How did you let this happen? How did you let $10 million reach Joe Biden's presidential campaign without being noticed, without putting a question mark on it? How can you fund Republicans with $95 million in donations and not put a question mark on it? So a lot of this today, court happenings in the states and what's happening in the Middle East, they are going to put a huge pressure on the one KYC, CFT, AML standards for crypto moving on forward. There will be definitely new bills introduced to curb more crypto regulation and carve more out of Binance specifically for being this bridge of sending crypto to Gaza. The response from Binance was immediately to comply to the local laws and regulations in Israel and close the accounts of Palestinians who might or might have not been involved in funding this war directly or indirectly. Uh, there will be a price to pay for Palestinians today on the crypto side of things, where their accounts will be more easily blocked and more targeted in closures. So this was our message before the Gaza war started. This is our message after the Gaza war have started. This was our message before the Lebanese crypto currency crisis has happened, and this is always our message after the Lebanese currency crisis has happened. If you are not owning your crypto in your own wallet, you do not own this money. Hence, not your keys, not your coins, in the times of war, even, is not to be taken lightly. Such events are, of course, unfortunate. We oppose the shed of blood on both sides, and crypto remains neutral to work for whoever you see as a perpetrator or as a hero. It is neutral in its borders, it's neutral in its destination, and it does what it does at a significant way by not identifying who are we sending the funds to in the first place and preserving this neutrality. Speaking of the neutrality and the Bitcoin proneness today that we're seeing in such markets, one of the prominent Bitcoin miners, Bitcoin miner Hut 8, they have stopped their BTC sales and they are remaining bullish on the price ahead of the halving. The halving is becoming a very psychological influence for traders, for hodlers, for people also that are for the first time entering into crypto and getting their Bitcoin interaction for the first time, getting the Bitcoin experience for the first time. Everyone today is looking at this halving. April 2024, the halving is going to happen. It's set in stone. Nobody can change this. A change into the monetary and fiscal policies of Bitcoin that are embedded in the code, and no third parties can change. Bitcoin miner Hut 8 in September, they produced 111 Bitcoin, and they didn't have any sales to fund its operation as it's preparing for the next halving. So as of today, the miner, they hold up almost 10,000 Bitcoins, 9,366 Bitcoins Hut 8 they hold, and they're considered to be one of the largest companies with huge assets reserves despite the price launches. So as we are approaching the halving, more and more scarcity, more and more pressure is coming on finding the last block. Remember, after April 2024, we are changing, we are shifting from a 6.25 Bitcoin per average 10-minute per block into a 3.125 BTC per average 10-minute per block. This means on an average of 10 minutes after April 2024, every 10 minutes we are almost putting just 3 Bitcoins in the market. And we know we have 5 billion smartphones on Earth. We have hence at least a billion user in the crypto markets from now till 2030. And in those period of time, we're gonna see two halvings from now till 2030. So from now to 2030, an average of 10 minutes, we're going to see one Bitcoin per block by 2030, which is the second halving. All these dynamics are slowly trickling down into the OTC markets. It's getting more and more difficult to get OTC deals where large amounts of Bitcoin can be sourced. Imagine a miner like Hut 8 owning 10,000 Bitcoins today compared to a miner owning those 10,000 Bitcoins at, let's say, 10 years ago. The huge scale and value is what Hut 8 is going to um, put a bet on, and I'm sure they're not going to liquidate at any time soon. One of the big players, not in the crypto world today, like Hot 8, we're looking at the equivalent of, I wouldn't say Hot 8 is the equivalent of JPMorgan in the traditional finance, but it is one of those big respected brands that we look at. JPMorgan is starting their tokenization platform, and BlackRock may be a key client to this. Now, remember, if we are hyping over ETFs that are imminent and definite to happen, imagine what tokenization of real assets could do. Imagine what tokenization of assets that, for example, are owned by BlackRock could induce new liquidity and create new liquid markets that are backed by tokens and basically value moving over blockchains. So this is an in-house blockchain-based tokenization application. It's called the Tokenized Collateral Network, or TCN, and it was debuted on Bloomberg on actually today. So they are going to settle their first trade for asset management with the giant BlackRock. Again, if we want to rank the possibility of an ETF happening versus a tokenization of a real world assets, I would definitely say an ETF is much more comprehensive to happen on the short term regarding looking at the amount of infrastructure and regulation that is needed for real world tokenization, for real world assets to get tokenized. That's why, in my personal opinion, I stay bullish on the Bitcoin ETFs happening in 2024 more than a BlackRock real world asset case. Speaking of bullishness, the last piece of the news we have from the block today, Ether could reach $8,000 by end of 2026. This is not a tweet from an ETH degen. It's not a tweet from me, at least, or a statement by Rudy. This is a message coming from Standard Chartered Bank, one of the giants in the banking industry, has an eye on Ethereum with a rather speculative, explosive prediction of $8,000 per Ether. I think the Ether lovers would cheer for such a prediction to happen. Yet, how viable is this? Yeah, we put a question mark on it. The competition around Ethereum is big. Solana is there. The roll-ups of Ethereum are there. Ethereum itself has been lately as well seeing the de-stress of liquidity in markets. Many times, certain DeFi protocols were tested for their solidity and for their resilience in terms of a liquidity crunch. Yet, in crypto, everything is possible, and if Ether or Ethereum is able to support still its dominance in the next bull run, then definitely we're gonna see a new all-time high for Ether. But if Ether is at 8,000, what would Bitcoin be at? This was our news for week 41, and we go back to you, Rudy.
Thank you, Tay. Before we take a couple of questions, let me go back to the main slide of what's happening because we didn't go on this. Uh, so part of the fraud that we usually work on every week, now we have a new solution similar to JB to add a layer of security. Just saw a device which is just patented and then it's raising money related to the first mobile device with a double layered internal, none talking to each other with a bridge uh, wallet. So it's an interesting device to see and to experience. We have one of our partners who is joining JITEX, and by the way, we are also joining JITEX next week. Be there starting this Sunday, the Future Blockchain Summit, JITEX, and many other summits that are happening, FinTech Surge, and the others. So here they are. And I'll be in Saudi next week on the 18th and 19th. The event is happening on the 19th. So if you are in Saudi and you're interested in Web3 event, this is one of the first Web3 events happening in Saudi, government backed. So this is very important. I'm gonna skip a couple of messages. I'll be tomorrow also in the Dubai Future Foundation talking about the generative AI and realizing the potential of generative AI. It's an interesting forum that is happening throughout the last 2 days. Sorry about the sound in the background, but we'll try to finalize as soon as possible. So join us and don't forget our main event, which is Women in AI, Blockchain, and FinTech. Don't forget to nominate those leading women that are in the space. So, with that, let me end quickly, go to our questions, and then check if there are any. Bob has a comment: failure of FTX is not only governance and management failure, it is regulatories or regulators. Do you have any update or any take on this?
Sorry, Rudy, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat?
Yes, the failure of FTX is not only governance and management, it's also
True, true,
regulators.
true, true. And JB as well had a response on it. He said, absolutely, just like with the Wolf of Wall Street, the SEC have known for ages this was a problem, but it suited them to ignore it. I agree with JB and I agree with Bob. This is a regulatorily fail in the first place before anything else, because Sam was in direct relation with the regulator. This was an American brand sponsoring Super Bowl with big names in the US financial circles backing him up, praising his work and his level of geniusness in arbitraging between Japan and US and the price of Bitcoin. Yeah, I don't see how this is not a regulatory fail before any time and before blaming anyone else, even before blaming as Sam himself.
I was saying, let me get JB since he's still hanging on there. What's your
Hi.
take also on this?
In terms of the regulatory huge fumble that happened. Okay, look with
Did you use the
FTX.
F word?
No, I said fumble. I didn't say the other word. I was going to, but I stopped myself, which is lucky. With FTX, just like with Barney Madoff, people were complaining about what these guys, what was happening there for the longest time, and it was ignored continuously. Why? Because Mr. Sam was making lots of big money exchanges to Democrats and Republicans. And as we all know, if you pay for somebody to turn a blind eye, they'll turn a blind eye, especially with that volume, pure volume of money. And let us not forget who his father is. His father is actually the guy that's connected, not Sam. Sam really is just the poor schlub that's going to end up with a lifetime in jail while he thought he was just going to have a good old fun time, and nobody told him that he was carrying the can. Bear in mind, if you follow the money back and look at all the key players involved in FTX, you follow the same fingers at play in Terra Luna. You also find the same fingers at play in the people who are taking big backstop positions on BTC while telling the rest of the world that crypto should be ignored. It's just that we should all keep away from it because it's just the bastion of criminals. Meanwhile, we've got BlackRock, JPMorgan, and every other mofo in the place filling their vaults with that stuff as quickly as they can. And it's not just the halving that this is about. It's also about fusion tech, when the power of proof of work blockchains is really the trading of energy. And once energy becomes an item that is no longer a scarce resource, this means that you will have rapid, super fast, near infinite tokenization of anything you want. That's the true value of Bitcoin. The value not comes in the halving. That's where people make lots of financial money. But the true advantage of Bitcoin comes the day that fusion technology becomes mainstream. Bear in mind, we have 3 companies by 2030 who all will have commercial fusion reactors online in UK, Europe, and the United States, which means one of the biggest things holding back BTC will no longer be a problem. And that basically means the value of mainstream currency itself becomes extremely threatened, which is the reason why BlackRock, JPMorgan, and all of these antiquated institutions are spending their entire time telling us, the civilian individual, how bad it is while they try to get the inside corner. Bear in mind, proof of work is a lot harder to control and get the inside track on than proof of stake. That's why everybody loves Ethereum. That's why the banks love proof of stake, because with proof of stake, it's re-centralization. It's whoever holds the biggest bag wins in proof of stake. And that's what Ethereum is now. Ethereum stopped being the people's kind of blockchain a long time ago, you know? And I realize I've rabbited on there for quite some time.
The question is, it's crazy times. Standard Chartered is joining the game, like BlackRock. I think you mentioned it something differently there.
Well, okay, I'll give you an example. Take a look at what's happening in Hawaii. The extreme firestorm that raged across the place and took out a lot of major buildings, infrastructure, and towns. And then look at how America has been pushing for the state of Hawaii to become the world's first tokenized crypto town. It's very interesting because if you look at the laws governing land in Hawaii, because it was all classified as ancestral protected land, unless everything is completely demolished and removed, you can't do anything with it. But what has happened after this seeming natural disaster? BlackRock and others have swooped in, bought up all the land, and then they announced tokenization of property. Interesting. Again, this is why I have a more cynical look at these big organizations.
You don't have cynical, you have a conspiracy theory things.
It's not, look, people use the word conspiracy theory all the time to demonize what is actually fairly logical when you start connecting the threads and start following the money. It's very easy to write off any theory as conspiracy theory. It's a beautiful way of making it seem insane, when the reality is all you have to do is follow the money, because the blockchain doesn't lie, neither do transactions. Follow the money and you see the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You see, I have 2 questions. All of them are about banks, Standard Chartered, JPMorgan. Similarly,
CBDCs. I mean, I'll give you an example. Recently, I did a talk about the digital pound, which is the United Kingdom's CBDC, effectively. And the digital pound really is going to be very cool, actually, for the market. When the digital pound comes out, it will be directly 1-for-1 equivalency with the physical pound, which basically means you'll be able to go and pay for physical items that cost £2.50 with £2.50 of digital pound, basically. This is huge. This means mainstream adoption. Yay! But it also means a huge amount of tracking, and it also means the instant removal of any form of anonymization and re-centralization of all of your transactions. Now, the way the British government have decided they're going to, on face, decouple the instant re-centralization and tracking of your personal data attached to your personal self and identity is by making the digital pound just a pure ledger, and then companies like mine will be licensed to build digital wallets, and we become responsible for KYC. Now, actually, that's actually quite good for consumers, because then it means that consumers really just have to find the right company that is willing to fight their corner no matter what. Now, in terms of, for example, your KYC, Cryotech, once we've completed FCA regulation, we'll have to form complete forms of KYC. We've already completed KYB to be listed and acknowledged as who we are. But when you do KYC, it also means that you, the company, are responsible for its encryption and control. And this is where the help to the consumer can come in. If companies like mine focus more on consumer need and focus on things like ensuring that their data is anonymized and fully obfuscated before it's handed over to various authorities, it means that we can actually kind of toe the line between the true ethic of what blockchain is, while at the same time still making sure that we honor, respect, and legally oblige by KYC and and anti-money laundering or AML laws. But again, this comes to the company that you pick to be your wallet provider. If you're going to pick a wallet provider, look at how they make their money. Do they make their money from being in bed with big VCs, or do they make their money from actually providing your service that you're willing to pay for and subscribe to? You know?
Thanks, JP, for your input. Tay, you can end it, and then we'll go have another week.
No, from my side, Rudy, I agree with JB. Regard for FTX, this is a pure regulatory fault. In case of banks and BlackRock and those institutions, they did it before, and we will see it again. It's nothing new in this game of money and finance. You have to have your hands dirty a little bit. But today we have the possibility to change this game and keep control of those keys, keep control of this access to money. There is a risk in losing your keys. There is a long journey of knowledge, but trust me, this is worth it. It's worth to create your own, I won't say a bubble, but it's your own bank, your own safe, your own thingy that no matter what happens, a rocket falls 100 meters from your house, no matter where you are, in a war zone, in a earthquakes, natural disasters, this thing will not leave you. So it will always be with you. JB is saying Vox Crypto's main hashtag is I am the bank. And yeah, I think this was what Barack Obama was scared of in his famous speech when he said, "I'm afraid one day that people will be walking with Swiss banks in their pockets." He didn't say a JPMorgan account, or he didn't say a Citibank account. It's easier for him to reference a local American product and take this pride in American industry, but he couldn't, because he understood that Bitcoin does not represent anything in what this new finance is showing us. It represents perhaps more of a neutral and a safe and a solid way of doing business, how the Swiss banking system is. With this, Rudy, I want to thank you. JP, it's a pleasure to meet
Likewise.
you. I'm your neighbor in the Netherlands. Hopefully, we'll see each other in person. And Rudy, until next week.
Cheers. See you next week. Thank you,
very
JP.
much.
Thank you,
Great
Tay.
people.
Have a good one.